Hello and welcome to Daily Current Affairs by Ekam IAS. Today is 21st September 2019 and the topics for discussion are Emergency Response Support System, Accessible India Campaign, Dementia, Map Aided Program and Previous Year Question Revision Series. Coming to our first topic, which is Emergency Response Support System. Okay, now this is in news because the Union Minister for Home Affairs, that is Shri Amit Shah, has launched 3 citizen-centric services of the Chhattisgarh Police in Chandigarh. Now, one of these is the Emergency Response Support System. Okay, it is having a number, dial number of 112. Now, the Emergency Response Support System is one of the key projects of the Union Ministry of Home Affairs under the Nirbhaya Fund. Now, it has been designed to play a pivotal role in mitigation or prevention of escalation of crime, especially against women and children. Now, the ERSS, that's the Emergency Response Support System, provides a single emergency number, that is 112, and which is a computer-aided dispatch of field resources to the location of distress. Now, the citizens can send their emergency information through call, SMS, email, and through the 112 India mobile app. Now, the Dial 112 Emergency Response Service is an initiative to strengthen proactive community policing that would end confusion amongst distress callers who at times end up calling 100 in fire and medical emergency cases. So the main idea is, separating out, sending the awareness that we should dial 112 in cases of emergency and stopping the confusion with respect to calling 100 in cases of other emergencies like fire and medical services. Okay, now there is the other two initiatives, that is the e-Beatbook system and the Saathi app. Now, the e-Beatbook is a web and mobile based application which will ease the collection, updation and analysis of the information related to crime and criminals in a real time. Now, the e-Beatbook would be linked with Crime and Criminal Tracking Network and System, that is CCTNS, which would help in real time updation of crime and criminal data. Now, the Saathi app would be helping would help the general public, including senior citizens, to remain in touch with the police and also give suggestions to facilitate participative community policing. Now, this is at the initiative called Your Police at Your Doorstep initiative. Now, coming to our next topic, which is Accessible India Campaign. Now, this is in news because the Union Minister of Social Justice and Empowerment has actually launched the Management of Information System portal for the stakeholders of the Accessible India Campaign. Now, we'll talk about this portal. Now, the MIS has been developed by the Department of Empowerment of Persons with Disabilities under the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. Now, the MIS portal will bring all the nodal ministries and states and union territories on a single platform for monitoring the progress being made against each target of the AIC, that is the Accessible India Campaign. Now, the portal will be useful in maintaining all the functions on the digital platform and capture data on a real-time basis. Also, the monitoring of the places being made accessible will become more effective as there is a provision of uploading images of such features. Now, we'll talk about Accessible India Campaign. Now, the Accessible India Campaign is also called the Sugmaya Bharat Abhiyan. It is a national-wide campaign launched by the Department of Empowerment of Persons with Disabilities of the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, and this is to provide universal accessibility to persons with disabilities. Alright, now the aim of the campaign is to make a barrier-free environment for persons with disabilities all over the country for safe, dignified life of the people with disabilities. It also aims at providing equal opportunity to persons with disabilities to participate in all the aspects of life and live independently. Now, the Sugmaya Bharat Abhiyan focuses on development of accessible physical environment, transportation system and information and communication ecosystem. Now, basically, if you have to talk about the Accessible India Campaign or the Sugmaya Bharat Abhiyan, it aims to make the physical areas in the society more accessible for the people with disabilities. For example, now it has been made mandatory for all the universities and educational institutions in the country to have both, accessibility for both the normal students without disabilities and people with disabilities. For example, if there are students in a wheelchair, it is very difficult for them to actually go up the stairs in some cases or the other. So in that case, it is made mandatory for the educational institutions to actually build ramps all around the university or the educational institution, so that the access to different areas is made more easier for the people with disabilities. Okay, now the Accessible India campaign has three important components. The first one is build environment accessibility, the second is transportation system accessibility, and the third is information and communication ecosystem accessibility. Now coming to our next topic, which is dementia. Now this is in news because according to a report released by the Alzheimer's Disease International, a fourth of Indians in India are actually considered dementia dangerous. Okay, so we'll talk about the different categories. Now the study estimates that as much as 50% of all the people living with dementia never receive a formal diagnosis, and in China and India, now this lack of diagnosis is much higher, perhaps as high as 70 to 90%. Now the number of those with dementia worldwide is set to increase to 152 million by 2050. Now the current annual cost of dementia is estimated at 1 trillion approximately, and this figure is set to double by 2030. Now we'll talk about dementia. What is dementia? Now dementia is a syndrome usually of a chronic or progressive nature caused by a variety of brain illness that affect memory, thinking, behavior and ability to perform everyday activities. Dementia results from a variety of diseases and injuries that affect the brain. Now that can be Alzheimer's disease or stroke. Okay, Alzheimer's disease or different kinds of strokes. Now although dementia mainly affects older people, it is not a normal part of aging. Now the Alzheimer's disease is the most common form of dementia and may contribute to almost 60 to 70% of the cases. Now dementia is one of the major causes of disability and dependency among the older people worldwide. Now dementia has a physical, psychological, social and economic impact not only on the people suffering from dementia but also for their carers, family members and basically society at large. Now we'll talk about the different stages or different types of dementia. Now the first one we'll be talking about is the pre-dementia. Now pre-dementia is characterized by forgetting things occasionally. And then we come to early dementia. Now this is characterized by minor short-term memory loss. Following that is the middle dementia, that is characterized by difficulty remembering the recent events and also having trouble in recognizing their family members and friends. And finally we come to late dementia. This is characterized by loss of the ability to walk, talk and care for themselves. Instead of communicating, they may repeatedly cry out, groan or scream. So basically it's the worst stage of dementia. Okay, now coming to the map aided program, today we will be dealing with the Cozia Tiger Reserve. Now the Cozia Tiger Reserve actually spreads along the mighty river, that is the Mahanadi river in Odisha. Now this was established in the year of 1976 as a wildlife sanctuary initially. Now the name Cozia actually originates from two words which means Sat and Kos. Now Sat means 7 and Kos means miles. Now this indicates that the length of the gorge wherein this is staying is actually 14 miles or 22 kilometers. Now the area was declared as Cozia Tiger Reserve in 2007, comprising of two adjoining wildlife sanctuaries. Now the two sanctuaries were the Cozia Gorge Sanctuary and the Baisipali Sanctuary. Now the reserve is spread over 4 districts. Now these are Angul, Cuttack, Nayagar and Bodh. Now the area is also part of the Mahanadi Elephants Reserve. Now the area in the Cozia Tiger Reserve is also part of the Mahanadi Elephant Reserve. Now Cozia is the meeting point of two biogeographic regions of India. Now that is the Deccan Peninsula and the Eastern Ghats, and these two joining or being the central location of two different biogeographic regions, this leads to immense biodiversity in the Cozia Tiger Reserve. Okay, now coming to the previous year question revision series. Today we have the question related to history again. Now I'll read out the question. With reference to the Swadeshi movement, consider the following statements. First statement, it contributed to the revival of indigenous artisans and craft industries. The second statement is the National Council of Education was established as a part of the Swadeshi movement. Now, if you know Swadeshi movement, if you have read about Swadeshi movement, I think this is a very easy answer to crack. In this case, both of the answers are correct. It did lead to the revival of the indigenous arts and craft industry in India, and also for the development of national or traditional education or National Education Council in India. So in this case, both the answers are correct. So the answer for this question is option C, both 1 and 2. That's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this session. If you have any doubts or queries, you can write down in the comment section below. Thank you.